Well, hello, and welcome to the 6th episode of the Lockdown Coda, coming to you from Sydney during the lockdown in 2021, wintertime. Well, isn't this great? Because cases are getting worse and people are misbehaving, demonstrating, a complete bunch of idiots, if you ask me. Brainless too. But anyway, we go on, and today we're talking about comparisons. This is completely unscripted and unrehearsed. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, and so it might be really bad, or it might be okay. But hopefully you'll learn something about JavaScript along the way, and that's the intention. So 10 minutes. Let's start. So by now, you know that in order to get up your coding environment, all you need is Chrome, and you just need to hit F12 and you get a window here, which is the developer tools. And inside the developer tools, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. However, we are just interested in the console tab, not the elements of the web page or anything else. So you click on the console tab and make sure it's docked on the right side of your screen if you want to imitate what I'm doing. And here's an interesting thing. Console draw. Now. No. Oh, maybe not so interesting. Thought I could scroll this up. Never mind. Anyway. Alright, where was I? So let's get rid of that. That's what happens when it's unscripted, you see. So, comparisons. Now, let's say we were writing a Pac-Man game. And as everybody knows, in Pac-Man, you get another life when you reach 10,000 in your score. So you've got a variable called score, okay? And you want to do some kind of a comparison to see if you should get another life or not. So the score you would originally create like this, maybe, and set it to 0 at the beginning of the game. All right, so we've now got a variable called score, a storage bucket for data that will change every time Pac-Man eats a pill, power pill, or ghost, or fruit. So let's say he's approaching 10,000 and the score is something like 9,000. So remember, with variables you can set them at any time. So 9,900. And in the code, you've got this comparison that looks a bit like this. If score is greater than, well, let's not even bother with the if. The comparison would be score is greater than 10,000. Okay, so you're comparing the left side with the right side. Okay, is score greater than 10,000? No, it currently isn't. Now, if it is, then you would run a piece of code that gave Pac-Man a new life. If it isn't, you would essentially do nothing. And you would keep comparing that. In games, you have an animation loop. All games are made with an animation loop that runs at about 60 frames per second, or FPS, which you may have heard of. And the animation loop has an update sort of step or check where it updates the state of the game, where players are, where bullets are, where objects are, what the score is now, and all kinds of things like that before drawing that new state. So it's literally drawing the state of the game 60 times a second. And that's what your animation is. So it'll be checking the score 60 times in a second. And let's just say he's about to eat a power pill, and currently score is not greater than 10,000. And then he eats a power pill and the score goes up to 10,000. And this is where I've got a bit of a flaw in my code now. So score is 10,000 now, and we do this comparison, it's still false. And this is where I got the comparison wrong, you see. Of course it was deliberate. So what it should have been, is the score greater or equal to 10,000? And we do that like this. We use the greater than sign and the equal sign. I edited out the blowing of my nose there. So this is how you compare things. You have a left side and a right side, and you have a comparison, what's called a comparison operator in the middle. Greater than or equal to. You could have less than, you could have equals, or less than equal to, you could have equals. I'll come on to that a little bit more in a sec. You could have not equal to, you could have, yeah, that's kind of, there's probably a few more, but that's all we're going to do for the minute. Now let's delve into the equals. So, does score equal 10,000? Yes, it does. Score is exactly 10,000, right? If I made score 10,001, so remember your up cursor key, or the up arrow key rather. If you press that, you'll get the previous commands, so you won't have to keep on typing them. Just press that until you get the thing you want and just change it. Hit enter. Score now is equal to 10,001. No, so does score equal 10,000? No, it's false, of course. Now, here's the thing. Let's change score back to 10,000. Does score equal 10,000? Yes, it does. Does score equal a string of 10,000? No. But yes. What's going on there? Now, here's the thing about JavaScript. It's a bit weird. It does this thing called coercion, type coercion. So if you've got the left hand side and the right hand side, it will actually try and do its very best to help you to compare those two values. It's helping me to compare a string of 10,000 to a number of 10,000, because it's thinking, well, it's not thinking, but it's going 10,000 in quotes is a number in quotes, so I can convert it to a number easily, and then I can compare it to score. So it converts the right hand side to the type of the left hand side, so it will convert it to a number, and then it can compare it, you see, which generally is not a good idea. It's not a good idea if you relinquish control to the language to decide what to do for you. You should force it to only compare numbers. So this should be false. So how do you do that? Well, you use, instead of equals equals, use equals equals equals. How's that for confusing? So whenever you compare things, you should really use equals equals equals, triple equals if you like. And if you want to do not equal to, instead of doing exclamation mark equals, which is not equal to, do exclamation mark equals equals. So it forces the type to be the same. So really, if I did this, compared it 10,000 to 10,000 as a string, it's false, but 10,000 to 10,000 as a number is true. So the upshot is use equals equals equals, and that's comparison. Comparison is generally used with if statements. So you'll say if the score is greater than or equal to 10,000. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. I just replied to a couple of Facebook comments. Then we might call a function called add life to Pac-Man. That just shows I just literally can't think of anything at the moment. And you would give him an extra life, okay? But clearly thinking about that code would like never work at all, because you'd keep adding lives to him. Although no, it would, because inside add life to Pac-Man you'd check whether he's got like 4 lives. You'd do some checks and stuff, so it may work. Anyway, you do an if statement, and an if statement, we might talk about that tomorrow a little bit. An if statement has a certain structure. It has a comparison. That comparison is either true or false, and then you do something inside the if statement if it's true. If it's false, if the comparison is false, you don't do anything inside the if statement. You totally skip it and you start on the next line. Okay? So, yes, I know add life to Pac-Man is not defined, but that's it for today. Thank you. That has been the Lockdown Coder coming to you from Sydney, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Stay safe. Do not go out on any protest marches, please, for everybody's sake, and we'll see you tomorrow.